Five minutes with Sean, maybe 10, starts right now. Thank you guys so much for jumping in again this week. Last week on the show, obviously, wonderful show. A little deep, but wonderful show. And really, to me, speaks to the power of life and the power of leadership. Now, this week sort of, it kind of oddly dovetails into that in the way that I'd like to talk about hard conversations. And how most people aren't really into having them. And if they are into having them, they're not into listening to the people they're having them with. And I think that's because every time a hard conversation comes up, people tend to get defensive, right? Because hard conversations are normally someone telling someone else something ain't right? So when that, right? that's the truth, right? So, but when that happens, there's always someone who has to initiate, air quotes here, the difficult part of the discussion, okay? So I have had many difficult discussions throughout my life because I am someone who doesn't, I'm willing to go anywhere anyone else is willing to go, right? There's anyone's been watching the show for 300 plus episodes will know I don't have a lot of other thing. There's nothing off limits to me, okay? So when it comes to that, especially in business, hard discussion is something I've had to have for a long time. I mean, when I was a first manager doing what I was doing, I had people who worked for me that were 30, 40 years younger than me. You want to talk about a difficult discussion? Try writing up somebody 30 years your senior. It's not fun, but it's the job. It's what happens, right? So I'm pretty well versed especially in the work difficult discussion. I'd say probably too in the real life difficult discussion. I think it's endured enough, seen enough. You would agree to believe that? Okay, so we agree that difficult discussions are no big deal for me. So at least I do. So when I have them, what I like to do to have a difficult discussion is I like to make sure that I have a clear objective to this discussion. Because telling someone something is bad or something isn't what you want is only half of a difficult discussion, right? You must go into the difficult discussion and explain that, yes, this is wrong, this is right, and this is what we expect. Now, typically, difficult discussions are made harder by not having already set expectations, talked about what we should be doing, right? But when we do set expectations, we do talk about what we want to do, and then those things don't happen, you still have to have the difficult discussion. So in being a, a CEO, whatever, 5 people work here. Yeah, I mean, whatever. Being responsible for moving the company forward, generating revenue, yada, 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 I have had to have plenty of these along the way. And recently, I just had one, okay? I had to have a very difficult discussion with one of the Carbiz family. And I knew going into this that this could go one way or another. This could open this person up to doing all right, shit, I got it, I'm going to do it. Or it could have closed them off to, you're coming at me, that's not how I operate, thanks. I'm going to go try something else. And so I have it, and it goes swimmingly. Because they were expecting it too. You see, this is the real, and that's why I use the first part of a difficult discussion to sort of get a feel for how the topic that I'm going to talk about, see how this person feels about their production around the topic, right? Because the worst thing in the world you can possibly do is have a discussion when you're fired up, right? Someone has done a bad job and they sit down and they're like, man, that's one of the best jobs I've ever done. You're like, no way this is happening, right? When you're 180 from the person's perspective of what they believe is going on versus what you believe is going on, not only is that a difficult discussion, but typically that thing just burns up and crashes because of the 180. So the difficult discussion's made easier when both parties, one party initiates the discussion, the other says, I'm with you, man. No shit, right? Things could have done or gone a different way. I could have done things differently, etc. And I was really excited after we had this discussion because I was like, dude, this is awesome. Like, I can't believe this went this way. I'm so happy to know, that we're cool. And afterwards, there was some text conversations about thank you so much. Thank you for believing in us. Thank you for believing in what we're doing, blah, blah, blah. So that kind of is very cool, right? It's very cool. But in the difficult discussion part of it, you have to have a plan and you have to set that expectation, right? So I said, this is what I need from you, and this is what you're going to do is going to lead us to here, right? If you do what I'm asking you to do, it should lead us down the road to a promised land of, additional revenue and opportunity, etc. Because I typically don't ask people to waste their time. I'm really not in the business of that very frequently. If I'm asking you to work with me or do something, it's probably to, again, create revenue and build into something different. So difficult discussion made easier, having a plan, setting an expectation. Worst part about a difficult discussion, having to have it more than once. Same one. Because now that's not a difficult discussion, that's a repetitive difficult discussion, which is a whole different problem as far as I'm concerned. The great news about most of the difficult discussions that I have in my life, I don't have to have again. And this one was no different. As a matter of fact, this one propelled this individual into a direction that has reinvigorated them, us, the opportunities, all of it. All because I didn't just kick the can down the road and say, let's just see what happens. Let's just see what happens. That's only because I'm in my 40s. Because the 25-year-old, 30-year-old version of me, not a chance. Not a chance. I watch it fail, dude. Watch it fail. Let it burn itself out. Why go through the hassle of paperwork when someone can just quit? Right? That sucks. That's no way to do it. So as I've gotten older, I've decided I was just going to have difficult discussions. Sometimes difficult discussions revolve around money. Put those two together, and I couldn't give a shit less. Because money is what typically is the root of any breakup as far as the business world is concerned. People are either undervalued or someone thinks they're overpaying. Either way, back to money. Difficult discussion. So I'd ask you the next time you go to have a difficult discussion, have a plan, set an expectation, and spend the first little bit of that discussion asking questions, listening, and formulating the rest of your plan of how to have this difficult discussion as it ends. Okay, my friends, we've had a couple of deep weeks. We're going to get even deeper next week. You're not going to believe the show I'm going to put together for you guys. It is going to be awesome. So tune in next week to see an unbelievable show about one of the biggest problems in the car business today. Have a great week.